In the 2 weeks since our last report on October 20th, a great deal has been accomplished on the pool, beginning on October 24th when this crew from BMMI came out to work on the project.
Next couple of days we're excavating the footers for the equipment pads and the footers for the ramps.
Once the footer trenches had been dug out, the steel was installed and inspected by the town of Longboat Key. After passing inspection, we were ready for the pouring of the concrete. While the concrete footers were curing, we brought the tree service back out to finish cleaning up the park. At one point during the project, we were asked why we don't just let the park go native. The answer is what you can see here. Rot develops inside the trees themselves if they are not getting adequate sunlight. That's the reason the canopy had to be reduced so much. Of course, it did produce a mountain of debris along Harborside Drive, but we were able to get that cleaned up fairly quickly because of the heavy equipment brought out by the tree service.
John Brown.
And your company is?
Brown's Tree Service, LLC.
And how long have you been doing this?
13 years.
And how many guys work there?
9.
Actually, Mr. Brown had 10 people working for him on this job because we spotted Landscape Committee Chairman Bill Urban getting in on the cleanup action.
What's your name?
David Finehout.
How long you been working on this tree stuff?
I've been cutting trees for about 6 years now.
Where'd you learn to do the tree climbing stuff?
I've learned from here and there, mutual friends, climbers, some of the best in Sarasota.
And how long do you have to essentially apprentice before you can start climbing that high out on those trees?
Yeah, it depends on how scared you are. You can get up there and do it, or you can't. It's not made for everybody.
The 3 days of work by the full crew in the preserve cost us some $10,000 of the landscaping budget. Before we spent that kind of money, we consulted with an arborist, and they told us we needed to reduce the canopy by at least 40%. Now that we have, the results are nothing short of remarkable.
Now here's a shot that wouldn't have even been possible before yesterday. Standing in the middle of the Winding Oaks Park in the full sun.
Now that the sun can once again reach the subtropical vegetation on the floor of the preserve, overall plant health should improve dramatically. With the tree work completed and no more falling branches to dodge, it was time for the masons to come back and start building concrete block walls on top of those footers that had been curing.
BMMI is working on the pool equipment area and the ramp, getting the block work up to height, getting it ready for pour. As soon as they pour all those walls, my guys will be back up here, backfilling and washing in underneath the equipment and getting the ramp all compacted back up to height.
Once all the blocks for the support walls have been placed, they'll be filled with cement. This is what provides the real strength, essentially a solid concrete wall around the pool. With all of the sand compacted in between the walls and the pool shell, this is the true support structure for our Winding Oaks pool. It's in dealing with all the pipes and conduits where the masons really show their skill. Each penetration through the wall has to be carefully planned and laid out in advance. We don't want to have to go punching holes through a finished concrete wall later on. We're now about 2 weeks away from the installation of the deck. Just prior to that, we'll have another homeowner tour. Next week, tiling of the pool begins, including putting swimming lane markers on those 2 black strips you see in the pool. This concludes the November 5th Pool Project Update Report.